The American flag has 13 stripes and 50 stars. You know how I know that? Because Pocket Ronnie helped me with my numbers.
Okay, we're going to be doing circles and ellipse. So for now, let's just look at circles. So far, we have done lines. Remember, an equation of a line is, the general equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. So for an example, you could have y equals 2x plus 3. That is a line. Neither the y nor the x are squared. Okay, that's how you can tell a line. And when you put it in standard form, your x's and y's are added together. So if I put it in standard form, moving the x term over, it would look like this. My x's and y's are added together. So either one of these is the equation of a line. Okay, now let's look at the general equation of a circle. In your easiest form, a circle looks like this. This is just a general equation. Ax squared plus ay squared equals r squared. Your a's represent coefficients, because you will know the difference between a circle and ellipse because looking at the coefficients. Circles have the same coefficient in front of your x squared and y squared term. A circle is different than a line because both x and y are squared. So that's how a circle is different than a line. In a line, neither x or y are squared, but in a circle, both x and y will have a square on it. This represents your radius. So in an expanded or a longer form, the general form for a circle is x minus lowercase a squared plus capital A y minus lowercase b squared equals r squared. What does all this stuff mean? First, recognize that in this general form, the formula has a subtraction sign here and here. So as long as there is a subtraction sign here and here, then the center of your circle, your x-coordinate will be whatever this is, because lowercase a goes with x, will be, so the center of your circle is whatever that number is, a, that's your x-coordinate for the center of your circle, and then whatever number this is your y-coordinate for the center of your circle. So as long as there is a subtraction sign here, then these numbers here represent the center of your circle, and this is an x and y coordinate. Then this is the radius, so in order to get r, so if I took the square root of r squared, that would just be r. So to get your radius, you have to take the square root of this number, okay? So r represents your radius, but I have to take the square root to get r, okay? So if we look at 23C, number 1, I have x squared plus y squared equals 9. I know it's a circle because I have an x squared term and a y squared term. Lines don't have that. And it's important to know that in a circle, there's a plus sign right here. So, and I also know it's a circle from an ellipse because my coefficients are the same. There's a coefficient of 1 in front of each of these. For an ellipse, your coefficients will be different. Okay? So I know that this is a circle. So the problem asked me to find the center and the radius. That's another reason I know it's a circle, is because it has a radius. Ellipses don't have a radius. So here I have x squared plus y squared equals 9. This is the simplest form of a circle. If I put it in that general form, my coefficients are 1, so I don't need to write that in front. But if I wanted to put it in this form right here, what is the center of my circle? Whenever there is no parentheses, that means the center of your circle is 0. Okay, so if I put it in the form that I just showed you, in the general form, where I have x minus something, y minus something, the only way I can get x squared here is to have x minus 0. Because if I have x and I take away nothing, I still have x squared. If I have y and I take away nothing, I still have y squared, because y minus 0 is just y, and then y squared right there. So whenever there's no parentheses, you can see, remember the numbers that are here and here represent the center of your circle. So whenever there is no parentheses and you just have x squared and y squared, the center of your circle is going to be 0, 0 at the origin. Okay, so the center of my circle, this represents my x coordinate of the center. And this number, I have a subtraction sign in both of these, that's important. So then this number here represents the y coordinate of my center. So I now know that the center of my circle is 0, 0, the origin. And then to get my radius, I need to take the square root of this number. So you take the square root of this number to get your radius. This number will not always be a perfect square. It's okay if it's a decimal. So the square root of 9 is 3. So I now know my radius is 3. Okay, 23C2, we said that our center was 0, 0, which is the origin. So what you do is you plot your center first. Always plot your center first. And then we said the radius is 3. So from your center, wherever your center is, you can count out in all directions. I would usually go out in the horizontal directions and then vertically from your center, count out your radius. So starting here and counting out horizontally to the right 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That gives me a point there. Count out to the left, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Count up, 1, 2, 3. Count straight down, 1, 2, 3. And then do the best you can on drawing your circle. Okay, let's look at 23D1. We have x minus 2 parentheses squared plus y plus 3 parentheses squared equals 36. I know it's a circle because first off, if I multiply this all out, I'm going to have an x squared term and then I'm going to have a y squared term. I have a plus sign in between. Circles have a plus sign in between, and then my coefficient out here is 1, which means my coefficients are the same. When you have the same coefficients, it's a circle. Okay? The problem also asks to find the center of the circle and the radius. Again, circles have a radius. So the center of my circle. So remember we said that these numbers here represent the center, but in the general formula, it's important to have a subtraction sign here. This one already has a subtraction sign. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it like this because you want your formula to have a subtraction sign. How do we get a subtraction sign there? If I said y minus, what does this need to be in order for this to be a minus? It would need to be a negative 3 because y minus a negative 3 minus a negative would make it a positive. So when there's a plus sign in here, it means your coordinate is going to be a negative number. So I would suggest rewriting it like this so that you have a subtraction sign here, because then you'll be able to tell what your coordinates are for the center. So once you get this in general form, in the format we're supposed to of the formula, with a subtraction sign here, now these numbers will tell us what the center is. So the center of my circle, this is my x coordinate, this number goes with my x coordinate, so that's 2, and then this number goes with the y, which is my y coordinate, negative 3. It's important to keep up with your signs. So my center is 2, negative 3. That's the center. And then the radius is, take the square root of this. Square root of 36 is 6. So that is the radius of my circle. Okay, 23D number 2. We said the center was 2, negative 3. Plot your center first. The x coordinate was 2, 1, 2, going down 3, 1, 2, 3. There's my center, okay? So from your center, count up and down, count your radius up and down, and then off to the right, and then straight to the left. So if I go up first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so the radius was 6. Count down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go straight to the right 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then straight left 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you can do the best you can of drawing your circle. Sometimes mine look more like diamonds. Okay, looking at 23E3, they now give you the center and the radius, and they want you to write the equation of the circle and graph it. We can already graph it with given this information right here. So given the center, remember the general form of the circle is x minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared. So we take these numbers, these are my a and b numbers. The a goes with the x coordinate, the b goes with the y coordinate, and we put them into our formula. So here we put in, and it's important, again, remember you have a minus sign, so x minus, put this in for a, 2, plus y minus, putting in a negative 2 for b. You already have your minus right there for the formula, but then we're going to put in a negative 2 for b, and then our radius is 2, so then we would say, putting that in for r, 2 squared, because you put 2 in for the radius and then you have to square it. So now let's simplify everything. Nothing changes here. X minus 2 squared. When you minus a negative, what happens? It becomes a positive. So y plus 2 squared. Now square your radius, 4, and that would be the equation when you have this center and this radius. Okay, looking at 23E, number 4. They already gave us the center and the radius, so from the information they gave us, we could have already graphed it. So they told us that the center was 2, negative 2. So going to the right, positive 2, 1, 2, and then down, negative 2, 1, 2. That's my center. And then counting my radius in all 4 directions, straight up and down, and to the right and to the left. So going up 2 puts us right there. Going down 2 puts us right there. Off to the right, off to the left, and then you can draw your circle from there. Okay, we're looking at 23B5. If you look at this problem, they have x squared minus 8x plus y squared plus 12y equals negative 48. They're wanting you to find the center and the radius by completing the square. Why do we have to complete the square? If you look at the form that it's in now, it's not anywhere near the general form of a circle. Here is the general form of the circle. I believe for most of the problems in this lesson, all of our coefficients for the circles are going to be 1. So we can take this away because all of our coefficients are a 1 here, and that doesn't have to be written. So we need to get this into the form of this, and we don't have that right now. So the very first thing you do is group all your x's together, and my x terms are grouped together, and then my y terms are grouped together. So we are going to have to complete the square for the x's so that we can get it into parentheses squared. Whenever we completed the square, that was what we did when we factored. We factored into a parentheses squared. So when we complete the square, remember, the first thing we did was get rid of this whole number off to the other side. Well, we don't have that this time, okay? So here's what we have. This is what I normally do. When you complete the square, you take half of this and square it. So I am going to be adding something here to complete the square, okay? And then then I group my y stuff together, and I will be taking half of this and squaring it. So I'm going to be adding something here to complete the square. But remember, whatever you add here, you have to add to the other side. Whatever you add here, you're going to have to add to the other side. So I usually draw my blank here and then over here to remind myself to add it over here. And once I draw my blank here, I draw it here as well so I can balance my equation. Okay, so now I take half of this, half of negative 8 will be negative 4, and then square it. Half of 12 is 6, square it. So if I add a negative 4 squared on the left, I have to add a negative 4 squared on the right. If I add a 6 squared on the left, I have to add a 6 squared on the right. Alright, so now I can factor this and put it into this format. Remember, after I completed the square, I like to write mine like that because then there's just going to be this. Whatever I wrote in this parentheses here, that's what goes here when I factor it. Then there's this plus sign right there. That's that plus sign. Then I'm factoring this. So basically this factored to here. Then there's that plus sign. Then I'm going to factor those 3 terms. So whatever I wrote here, that's what factors here. Now I've got to add all this up. Negative 48, that would be a positive 16, positive 36. Okay, that all came out to 4. So now it is in the general form of a circle, and when you start out like this, it's important you have to complete the square to get it to where it's in a form like this. Okay? So remember, for the general form of a circle, these should be subtraction signs so that I can see what the center is. So if I put it to where both have a subtraction sign, if I make this a subtraction sign here, what does this need to be in order for that to be a positive? It would be a -6, because minus a negative becomes a positive. So now that I can see that my center is going to be this number and then this number, so 4, -6. My radius is take the square root of that. So my radius is 2. Now I can graph for 23B6, we said that the center was 4, -6. Always plot your center first. So counting over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, down 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the radius was 2, so counting out 2 in all directions, to the right and to the left, and that will be your circle.